Hi, this is Angie here at Abundant Acres Homestead, and today's video we're going to talk about chickens. Not just chickens, but how to overwinter chickens. And I want to try to put as much of the information as I can into one video, but if I can't get it in one video, I'm probably going to do like a series or at least in a couple videos, because I don't want to overlook the small things. You know, maybe this is your first year of having chickens, or you're planning on getting chickens in the near future, you know, or maybe somebody that's just had chickens for a couple years. You know, and then again, who knows, maybe even some of the chicken experts might get some good information, but that's who this video is going to be directed towards. So I hope you enjoy it. I hope you get the information that you need and that you're coming for. But yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and get to it. I actually start with the pen first, because this is the area that the chickens tend to not use as much in the wintertime, because they like being, you know, in their coop and warm, which I can't blame them. Apparently I'm a lot like a chicken. I want to be inside where it's warm, and today is actually one of the last days of warm weather, so I want to get this done while it's still warm enough for me to be outside and not be hibernating. So I'm going to get started out here in the pen. Okay, so one of the first things I like to do is I like to get the pen all cleaned out. So I will take the feeders, the waterers, the bricks. I will pretty much take everything that's in the pen and take it out, and then, well, let me just get that done first. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and try to talk while I'm working. Hopefully you guys can understand what I'm saying, and hopefully I don't get too out of breath, but I just kind of want to make sure that I actually get my work done while I'm doing the video too. So yeah, so one of the big reasons I want to get the pen cleaned out is because I want to do everything that I can to possibly encourage them to get out here in the wintertime, because like me, they're going to need I might as well take these off too. Like me, they're going to need a lot of encouraging to even want to come out of the coop. So I want to do everything that I possibly can to encourage them to get out of the coop and come out here, because I definitely want them out here. I want them foraging. I want them getting their exercise, because just like us, it's not good for us to stay inside the house and not doing anything. It's not good for our chickens either. They are chickens and they need to be out here. They need to be foraging, and they need to be doing all of that stuff because it's healthy for them. Another thing that I do in the wintertime for the chickens is I use the deep mulch method. So I could keep piling mulch on top of this, which would be fine, but like I said, I want to use this. So I'm going to dig this out basically back to ground, and then I'm going to be filling this with mulch. And another reason I like the deep mulch method is because, I'm already losing my breath. But one of the reasons I like using the deep mulch method, especially in the wintertime, is because chickens don't like having their feet wet. Well, in the wintertime, when you got snow, not only do they not like having their feet wet, but they definitely don't like having cold, wet feet. So the deep mulch method brings the ground up. The snow doesn't just sit on top of it like it does on regular ground. With the mulch, the snow tends to melt quicker, and if it melts quicker, then that means my chickens aren't standing in wet, cold snow, which again will encourage them to come out of the pen or out of their coop and into the pen, which is what we want. So taking all this out, putting it in there, and I'm going to move it over to the garden. garden with all the goodness. Okay, now that I've gotten the most of it up that I want, and mind you, I didn't take everything up. I just kind of took high spots off because I don't want to take everything away. I want them to keep composting, but composting is not what the video is about. So the next thing I want to talk about with the pen, at least in our area, is we do have some predators that we kind of need to watch out for. We've got raccoons, possum, coyotes. There's a few bobcats here and there, but they're not necessarily that much of a problem for us. Fox, the normal Midwest predators, I guess you would say. And in the wintertime, because things aren't moving as fast and things just aren't as easy to find, you know, because there's a lot of animals that's normally out in the spring, summer, and fall that are easy prey, I guess you would say. So chickens aren't necessarily mandatory in their diet, I guess. But in the wintertime, when things start going into hibernation and things aren't as active because it's so cold, chickens become an easy target for them then, especially if you think about it as, I mean, you know, they're in a pen, they're not really going to go anywhere, so I won't say that they're sitting ducks, but it's definitely a chicken dinner in a cage. So what I need to do next is go through the pen, and there's some areas that I need to make sure that are predator proof. Another thing about our pen is we kept our pen really small because we also have aerial predators, mainly hawks and owls. And because of where we used to have them, I wasn't able to let them free range as much as I would like to, because they were kind of out there in the open field and just free game for the aerial predators. So over here, they're not as much free game because we have the trees overhead and the pen is a lot smaller. So could they come down and get one of the chickens? Yes. But there is not enough room in this pen for them to grab and go. So this is not a grab and go restaurant anymore for the aerial predators. If they come down in here, they're pretty much gonna be stuck in here until I come out. So they're not likely, the aerial predators aren't necessarily a problem. But at one point in time, they were over there, so we actually had to have the top netted. Don't have that problem here, so I'm not worried about that. So I'm going to take you around the pen and I'm going to show you a few different tricks, I guess you would say, on how to try to keep the predators at bay. Can't say predator proof because they can be pretty persistent, but hopefully if you do a good enough job, you can catch them before they catch your chickens. So anyway, here's a few of the things that I do. Okay, so right here on the back side, this is where the chickens come in and out. And I have strategically placed Beth, our big boy, back here. He does a really good job of keeping things at bay, and I actually put him here for the reason because this is where the door opens. So this, when it comes to the coop, this is going to be the weakest part, and this is going to be the part where if a predator is trying to get into the coop, they're going to try it here. And if he is stationed right there, they're less likely to even try it. And if they did try it, he is going to send out the alarm to let us know, hey, something's going on here. Because trust me, if anybody's going to get to eat the chickens, and it's not us, he wants to make sure that it's him. So he's going to do what he can to make sure if he can't eat it, ain't nobody eating it. Here's the front of the pen, and this, where the gate is going to be the weakest part of the pen if they're trying to get into the pen. So things that we've done to do our best to keep the predators at bay here is obviously we made sure that the door is made with 2x4 fence, so it would have to be pretty small to get through the fence. We also made sure that the corners aren't going to give So we have braces here at the corners so that they're not going to give. We have a lock up high so that, because if you put a lock low, raccoons are pretty tricky and they can learn to get a lock open. So we have a lock up high. And here's another big one is we put a 2x4 here. And the main reason is because you need your door, or at least how ours is set up, our door has to be up a little higher just so that it can swing freely. So what we've done is we've put a 2x4 here, and that helps in two ways. One, it helps make sure that that gap is closed and that there's not a gap for predators to go under. And another reason is because it gives us a little bit more of a lip, because how this ground that they're on right now, it kind of tends to grade more this way. So whatever deep mulch that we put in here would kind of find its way out, and if this wasn't here, it would easily be kicked out, especially with the chickens pecking and throwing things the way that they do, because that's what chickens do. This is the other side. This side is actually closest to our house, so they're less likely to want to go over on this side, which is another reason why this is the side that we keep the feed on. Also because there's trees and stuff, so I don't have to worry about weed eating it as much if I put it to the front. But what we have here is a live trap. One of the reasons we have the live trap over here is because obviously if we're having predator issues and stuff like that, the trap is already here. They're used to seeing it. The predators themselves are used to seeing it. A lot of predators don't just attack. A lot of them will kind of scope the situation out and figure out their way in. Well, if they see something out of place, they tend to kind of shy away from it a little bit more. Well, this is here all the time, so it's never out of place. So if we ever need to trap anything, it's here. All that we have to do is actually bait the trap, and it's done. But another thing that it does by being here is, like I said, the way that it grades, this kind of slopes towards the front, which then puts a gap at the bottom part of this fence. I could fill that gap easily, but this does it. This is like a 2-4. One, it fills the gap, it keeps that part of the fence protected, and if I ever need to trap anything, it's here. So that's this side. Next we have the back. Okay, so now on the back side, this is probably the area where the predators would be coming from. There's woods back there. So, I mean, if I was trying to attack something, I'm gonna come from the side that I can sneak in. So what we've done here is, one, we've made sure that the fence goes all the way to the ground, and it kind of even goes somewhat underneath. And another thing that we do is we try to keep everything, the weeds and stuff, away as far as we can, because the more it grows up here, the more likely it is to hide predators as well. There we go as far as the pen. Now to the chickens themselves. Okay, this is something that a lot of people don't talk about, but I think it's probably something that should be talked about, and that is the chicken breed themselves. There are certain chickens that are just, I don't know, bred more for cold winter. I think it's kind of like people. Obviously, I'm not bred for cold winter because I whine about it the whole time. Chickens are the same way. The chickens themselves, okay, let's start with the breed. There are chickens that have taller, bigger combs than the other one. The further north that you get, the smaller the comb is better suited for your area. And the reason for that is because frostbite. The bigger the comb, the bigger the area that's exposed, the more likely they are to get frostbite. So if you would take that equivalent to walking out without your hands being outside and not having gloves, that's similar to the chicken comb. You know, it's out there, it's exposed, it's not covered with the feathers, so it's more likely to get frostbite. We do have a Rhode Island Red, you know, and she has a bigger comb, But we also have the Isa Browns, which have really, really small combs. So the further north you are, the more likely you are to have better luck in the wintertime anyway with a chicken that has like the smaller comb, especially if you're not going to be heating your coop, which we don't. Okay, another thing when it comes to chickens, their feathers. They actually have like a summer feather and a winter feather, which is the whole purpose of molt. Molt, they're getting rid of their summer feathers and they're growing in their winter feathers. You can kind of figure it as like now they're walking around with, you know, these nice comfy down comforters coats on. So yeah, their feathers plays a huge part in keeping them warm throughout the winter. Okay, so this video is starting to get a little bit long for my liking. So I think we're going to continue overwintering chickens into maybe another video or two, where I'm going to be going more into the chicken coop, the feed, the water, and things like that. So make sure that you stick around, hit the subscribe button and the bell notification button so that you know when I upload those videos. So yeah, until the next video, which I'm going to be shooting in like right now.